Okay,
Close enough.
yeah. All right. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Yeah. And today we have a very special guest here. Oh, I think it's our first guest for the next season, I guess. uh, this is yeah. You want to like to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, sure. I'm NoirVermillion on Twitter. I'm a Love Life fan, niche micro internet celebrity, and yeah, occasional writer.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for coming onto the podcast and taking the free time out of your schedule to meet me. Yeah.
No problem. I'm excited to be finally in the Birb's nest, or however long that's called the podcast, I guess.
Yeah, because I still don't know what name we should come up. I should come up with for the podcast. So it's still in works. I guess you still can just call it Birb's Nest for now.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah. So for let's get just straight to the thing. So we're going to do our general topic first, and for this we can do the so we can talk about Perfect Blue first, right? So
Sure.
yeah, for this movie, right? So like when do you first discover this movie? Like how do you ever come through this movie?
I guess what you'd have to go back to like how I got into anime in the first place a little bit. So when I was in high school, I was like pretty staunchly anti-anime.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought like, oh yeah, that's just some some nerd stuff. Of course I was a nerd myself, but like I was a video game nerd, so I thought I was like better than that. And then I think I finally first got into anime. Like when I was a kid, I would watch like Death Note and Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and stuff like that. But those are the only two series I ever like got into. And I think like the one series that kind of got me back into anime, if anything, was I really wanted to watch Neon Genesis Evangelion because I saw good things about it like on a forum that I was a part of. And so I watched that, and eventually I think like the very next series I watched was Love Live, which is like a pretty drastic shift in tones.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Holy shit.
Yeah, it was just like a friend of mine was watching it as almost as like a joke, and he said, no, trust me, it's like really, really peak. And I said, no way, this is trash. And then I watched it, and it was actually peak. That was School Idol Project. And then yeah, so I think after I watched Love Live, of course I was like in high school, so I was like going through like an edgy phase, and I just wanted to watch like whatever like was the highest rated stuff on IMDb or whatever, because I didn't know MAL was a thing back then. So yeah, I think like some of the highest rated stuff on IMDb was Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and Perfect Blue, and then most of the Satoshi Kon films. So I also watched Paprika back then.
Wow, that was an extensive. that was a long way to get to Perfect Blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, right, I got into it because like I was searching through YouTube lo-fi music. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Right. So after that, then there was this one video that contained this scene from Perfect Blue. It was like it's true that it's about the ending there when Mima was like being congratulated by the crew for completing the film. Yeah, you remember that scene, right? I think.
Yep.
Yeah. It was about it was just that scene played over and over again. So then I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? This like looks very interesting. So, and I've heard a lot of good things about Satoshi Kon. So, everybody was telling me to watch the film. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go watch the film. And the moment I kind of understood the film, I got kind of scarred by it.
Yeah.
Because it was like so. It's like it's created in like 1997 or 8. And then it perfectly describes the thing that we're still facing up to this day, which is the idol culture, which is really, really crazy.
It kind of only gets more relevant with time. It's sort of funny because like I said, when I first watched Perfect Blue was quite a long time ago. So because I knew we'd discuss this on the podcast, I actually rewatched it today in preparation.
Wow.
I think when I watched it the first time, obviously not knowing the big twist at the end, which I don't really know if we want to get into because I don't want to spoil any like listeners.
Yeah.
But like throughout the entire like movie, you're sort of led to believe that this one person is the big bad guy, and then sort of halfway through the film, they really start positioning it like it might actually be the main character that's the bad guy. And then ultimately like there's a grand reveal at the end. And I think the first time it really, really caught me off guard. Like I really didn't see that plot twist at the end. And then watching it today, obviously I know what happens, but it was so much easier to see the little hints that the film like dropped throughout the continuity of the film, right?
Yeah.
And how it sort of like deflects from the answer. It's a very classic thriller like mystery film.
Yeah, honestly, because at first when I started watching this, it was really confusing because they love to like shift perspectives here and there. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like you really get confused when you don't understand what's going on. Yeah, but if you like watch it back, you start to realize that it's actually kind of obvious. It's just that you really didn't like take a detail or like notice towards it. And I'm also like very used to the kind of like movie format. So let's say like there'll be always like one big bad guy, like you always say, like there'll be a villain. So there'll be a very obvious villain, and I was expecting that this whole time. I was be like, okay, there must be like a stalker, and then so I was like, when that's not the main villain, I was very like taken aback. I was like, wow, shit. I was like, damn. So it's like this whole time it's been a lie. It's crazy. It's really really crazy, and like the twist at the end is it's really crazy, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely. I have an argument with a friend who's a big Satoshi Kon fan over what his like best film ever was. Because I personally love Perfect Blue. It's one of the few like anime that I've ever rated like a 10 out of 10. But I kind of like Paprika more. And he always argues with me with that back and forth. And I will admit, like watching that movie today, I sort of start to see his point a little bit more. Because I mean, it really touches on themes that have only gotten more relevant with time. Like, the just insane amount of pressure on like public figures. Obviously in the movie it's focused on idol culture, but I think it's relevant just as much to just regular social media of the modern era. I mean, obviously it's a fantastic film. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, man. He died so early, man. It's crazy. Yeah, cancer can be a bitch sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but for me, right, I haven't watched the other Satoshi Kon films at all because I was so stuck on Perfect Blue.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If you like Perfect Blue, you'll definitely love Paprika. It's got a lot of the same like changes in perspective, and you're always on the tip of your toes wondering what the next big twist is, sort of thing. I think Paprika is great. It's also like a lot more of a modern film. Like I think Satoshi Kon made that one in 2004. 2006 actually.
Oh, I thought it was 2001. Or is that Millennium Actress? That's
Millennium Actress in 2002.
Okay.
So, Millennium Actress is also great. The only one I haven't seen is the anime that he did, which is Paranoia Agent. But I've also heard really good things about that as well.
Okay. Yeah, wow. So yeah, because when I watched Perfect Blue, I think it was one of the best movies, honestly, without like scarring me a bit, But it's still a really good movie, honestly, because I've never seen anything like that before. I've never seen anything like it just like uses my brains once in a while, which is really really crazy. Because when you sit back watching a movie, it's usually a kind of like you don't really need to think too much.
Right.
Yeah, but this one forces you to think a lot, and it's really crazy, right? Yeah. So let's talk about the main thing of Perfect Blue. Idol culture. About how Japanese, specifically because this is a Japanese film, right? So they're definitely talking about the Japanese idol culture, which is like really really prevalent to this day, honestly. Because I feel that like Japanese idols do get the same treatment from their fans like every year. It's about the very obsessive kind of things, and it's I think it can be really dangerous at one point. Because I think it's they don't really have a I would like to say stop button, but that sounds very that sounds not professional. But okay, so they don't have a limit. Okay, yeah, they don't have a limit.
They have no chill.
Yeah, they have no chill towards like these kind of things, and to worshipping their idol, and it can be creepy at times. Because I've read a lot of like articles for like. I mean, it doesn't really just happen in Japan. I'm not gonna lie. There's like the, I don't know if you heard the Birb stalker case. Have you heard this singer called Birb? I don't know how to pronounce it. Yeah.
Bjork.
Oh, Bjork. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, my
like
pronunciation is like
BJORK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Because this case, like, it really popped out a lot during the making of the film. So it was a connection together or something like that. And then I got to know it because I watched the film, and people were talking about it too. They were like, "Oh, this is parallel to the case," and I was like, "Wow, it actually is kind of, you know."
Yeah. I would say, obviously, Western culture has plenty of examples of super obsessive fans, but I think like Japanese entertainment kind of gives fans access to whether it's idols or celebrities in a way that like maybe Western audiences or like Western people just aren't as comfortable with. Like I think the West has so much more of a focus on, or it has places more importance in privacy and personal liberties and stuff like that. And I think there's a lot of advantages to the Japanese style in terms of like, I think there's something somewhat beautiful about how obsessive people can get, but obviously it goes very overboard at times. And yeah, I think now even more so with VTubers and stuff like that, I think that's only twisting more and more. Like I've seen, if you like follow, I don't know, I'm not a huge VTuber guy, but I follow it enough to know the big stories with, the Rushia character. I think they became Neko and stuff like that, right? There's some things that like we should never really have to learn about like an idol's personal life, right? And when people are as obsessed with these idols / VTubers as they are, I think it just makes it like more crushing and more like serious of a news story.
Yeah, that's kind of true also, because like actually I don't know, because for me I feel that VTubers don't really get like the lots of this idol culture thing, because at most what they're doing is just hiding behind the screen.
Sure.
Yeah. I don't know whether like this is really really true. Maybe the VTuber fans were like just like educate me on this after this, but I feel like it's just an avatar, like unless you really like give yourself away, there's probably quite a low chance that you will get like like obsessive fans coming to your house, because they don't even know where's like the house or something. It's just an avatar.
Yeah, but I think too, because people are so like they live and breathe the internet, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to go to somebody's house to harass them anymore, right?
Oh yeah.
Like you just need to send them a few death threats on Twitter, and that's in some ways it's almost as pervasive as in Perfect Blues. Obviously it's not as dangerous, but like sending a letter bomb, right, as they do in Perfect Blue. So I think for sure it's not to the level that we might have seen in that film, but I think it definitely still lives and breathes. And I would also say, obviously, VTubers that are like 100% anonymous, then that's not really a problem with them. But I think a lot of the top ones have kind of had their identities exposed, whether it's just by chance or because they had an existing career before becoming a VTuber.
Yeah, it's crazy, because they really have to like, even if it's not like out there, they still have to like really be careful of themselves, because they might just accidentally reveal it, and it will be like pretty bad for them, honestly. So it's like the amount of stress that they face, like trying not to review themselves is commendable, I would say, because like it really takes a lot of like, how do I say this, it's just more like, how to say, it's like I can understand the stress. I can like I understand the stress they are trying to hide the identity from everyone, because it can be a really crazy place for idol culture. If someone really worships you too hard, it'll be quite bad, honestly.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was wondering, like, what do you kind of feel about the idol culture? It can be like from Japan or from anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really tough to say, because like, again, I would say the way that people interact with celebrities in the West is not as extreme, but I also think it's a lot more fake, and it's a lot more manufactured. Like I think stan culture on Twitter is so fleeting, right? Like I've seen people that are like huge, I don't know, I don't want to like name a like example or anything, but like people that are like major Taylor Swift fans, or like, oh, here's one, like Doja Cat, right? Like Doja Cat was massive. There was all people like standing her on Twitter or whatever. She had like one or two controversies or one or two things unearthed from her past, and I swear like people's opinions of her like shifted overnight, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that sort of thing doesn't happen as much in idol culture in like Japan, right? Because I sort of feel like in some ways, more often than not, the average fan is willing to ride out the tough periods a little bit more. I don't know. I personally think I'm not going to sit here as like a Love Live fan and say that like idol culture in Japan is bad. Yeah. I did go to Japan. Well, I've been to Japan twice. The last time I went, a friend and I went to an idol concert of a group that like it's about as underground, not as underground as you can get, because they had like a decent following. But yeah, we went there. There was like 100 fans, and we checked their Spotify listening history. There was like 100 listens on their songs. And I will say, like, there is something crazy and really fucking cool about that experience. Just because you see like just how passionate these people are for people who, like, quite honestly, a lot of these like idols in the underground idol scene are really just regular people. They're not like super amazing talented stars. They just want to, you know, put on a good fun show for people. The amount of excitement that went on for these shows the one time I went was insane. I kind of went there expecting to, you know, really get into it and really like be the life of the party. But everybody else was like going way harder than me. Me and my friend were like very, very humbled because we just got there and like we were like, yeah, woo, good song. And then like these guys are literally singing every single lyric from the top of their lungs. I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, I think at the aspect, I think that's pretty good too, because like I think Japanese fans, if they are really fans, like if they are fans, Japanese fans will be like the really dedicated ones, the ones that like, you know, really respect, not just say respect the artist, but like, you know, respect their craft, and also like, you know, like their song. If they really like the songs, they will memorize it by heart, which is the kind of thing that is admirable. Because like, you know, you don't really, sometimes like when you say you like an artist, you don't really like memorize all their songs, right? But the Japanese people are really different in that aspect, and it's really cool to see that they really put in a lot of effort to, you know, try and sing along with the song and then cheer really loudly, which is, you know, sometimes I find it a bit cringe, but I mean, you know, at the end of the day, a fan is a fan, you know. It's really admirable to see stuff like this. Yeah,
but that's the thing, you know, that's the mark of a true fan, is you can ignore how cringe something is and just sort of get lost in the moment, right? Like there was plenty of guys at that concert that I went to that, had they been as self-conscious as like, you know, I might feel in that situation, then obviously they wouldn't be screaming at the top of their lungs. But they genuinely like really care about this group, and they don't really care how cringe it is.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I probably would say all this, but then when I like go to a concert that I like, I probably would scream like a mad dog too, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
And about the point for Doja Cat, I think it has happened once in Japan culture before. You know, we're talking back to VTuber, the Rusha person. I forgot what's her name already. But you know, when her termination was first announced because she breached a contract or something, there were a lot of Japanese fans selling her merch that they bought online already, which is like it feels the same, like the same stance as the Doja Cat one. You know, it's like once you hear like a few bad things, like one or two bad things about the person, you already don't like the person. So it's like the Japanese culture is about the same, I guess. It's because like it's more of like, you know, it's like if you like the you know, there's two sides. Like if you like, it's you like, but if you hear things that you don't like, and then they really straight away just turn on you, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I feel the idol culture is something like that too at times, you know, especially when a Japanese female idol gets a partner. Yeah, you know, that is really, really crazy. It's unsettling at times, I'm not gonna lie. Like the way the fans react after that is just like, no, because I thought, like, you know, for me, when someone gets my favorite voice actress or idol gets a partner or something, you know, I'll feel happy for them, right? Because they found their love, right? It's good to commend them on that. But some people are just like, and mostly Japanese fans are like that. They are like really not happy with it, which is like, it's a bit concerning at times. And you know, I've read some news about the fans, like, you know, stalking and stuff, which is you know, I don't see this a lot from, like, you know, as much as I would like to like bash America culture or the Western culture for this, but you know, I don't really see more news of like people stalking. The Japan ones have a lot, you know, which is
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, it's very
for sure.
concerning.
Yeah, the just I think it just comes down to like how much privacy is expected as like a public figure in Japan. I think it's they have much less of respect for personal space and private time for their celebrities specifically. Less so for just like the common person. Obviously they're like super serious about not taking pictures of people on trains and stuff like that, stuff that in the West we wouldn't care about at all, right?
Yeah.
But I think especially with celebrities, people get a much closer access to them than they would in other countries.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So yeah, I just feel the idol culture, well, it can be like, it can be like admired from afar. Sometimes it's just really like a bit dangerous to like really see these kind of actions, and you feel like a bit uneasy at times, honestly. I
Right.
would, yeah. And
Yeah.
so about like love life also. Love life, right? Have you been
I've
to a
heard of
love
it,
life
yeah.
concert before,
No,
No.
I wish. No, I hopefully will try to next year. But yeah, so I mean, obviously, I live in Canada, so it's quite a distance for me to fly. Usually, a flight is at least 1,500 Canadian dollars. So it's a significant amount of money. And then obviously, if you're going to be flying that far, you kind of want to dedicate like a full 2, maybe 3 week vacation, which can be kind of hard to come by if you're a full-time worker like myself. So yeah, I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to go to a Love Live concert before. I go to tons of like non-idol concerts where I live, but yeah, unfortunately, nothing Love Live related yet. But yeah, next year, Liella has tour dates in spring, and hopefully Aquar's final will be announced soon. And I'll try to make it to one of those if possible.
I think you should make it for the Aquas final, because I think that's more important for like Aquas fans, honestly.
Yeah, that would be super cool. The only thing is for me, it's difficult for me to get vacation dates in the summer. So if they do Aqua's final in the summer, I'm out of luck. I'm just kind of screwed.
Yeah.
But if they do it in the fall or the spring, I will do everything in my power to try and go out there. But thankfully, Love Live staff made it a lot easier now with I think the internet's kind of called it the Gaijin package. It costs a lot of money, to be fair. I think it's close to like $2,000 to $3,000 to get one of these packages, but you can pretty much get like a guaranteed seat at the concert for both day 1 and day 2, and they put you up in a pretty nice hotel as well. There's a few mutuals that I know that have done this in the past, and it sounds like a great experience, if not a little bit expensive.
I think if it's expensive, like if I really love like this person or the let's say the band, let's say Aquas, I would really do it though.
Yeah.
I would really try my best to like go out my way to, even if I have to break the bank, I would do it.
For sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not really the Aquas fan. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that I don't like Aquas. It's just I prefer Muse music, right? And
Right.
kind of Muse don't do any more music, so it's just like performances from like 3. So it's Emi Sun, Aya,
I think
and Pao, right?
Pile, right?
Yeah. So like usually, and they don't appear in like their own solo concerts. They appear in like the like let's say the recent one,
ones.
the combined
The Asia tour.
concert, right? Yeah. So it's really hard to get like watch performances of them these days in real time, because most of them happen in Japan, and I can't really go to Japan since I'm in like uni now. It's a bit hard.
Yeah.
So it's really bad for me. So I also haven't been to a Love Live concert before at all, because by the time I discovered Muse, they already disbanded, or kind of disbanded, but they still came out with a song before that, like a song for you, the
Song for You,
2020 release. So that's how I found them out.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you would have gotten into them even later than I did, because I remember. So I watched SIP 1 and 2, because, well, obviously, because like I said, my friend had got into it, and I wanted to make fun of him for it, and also because the movie was coming out in North America. Like obviously, it had been out in Japan for like 6 or 7 months at that point, but they were doing a release of it in US and Canada. So all of my friends, I think like 6 of us went to watch this movie in theaters, and that was the first time that I saw it. And honestly, I think when I watched it, I really liked it, but I enjoyed it even more on the second watch. And then Sunshine came out maybe 6 or 7 months after, and honestly, I was a big Sunshine hater when it started.
How? I thought you were like a Sunshine fan, right? Are you not?
I am, but like, yeah, 100%. But like back then, I think I wasn't like a huge Muse fan in terms of like their seiyus or anything like that. I didn't even really know like the live IRL part of it even existed. But I was a big fan of like the anime group, obviously, and I did play SIF, and you know, I was a fan of like Muse music. Like I would only play Wonderful Rush, Start Dash, No Halation, stuff like that. So when the Aqua's songs came out, like, I don't know, I don't think this is like a hot take, but I think when like Aqua's first singles came out, like Kimi Coco and like Aquarium, right? I don't think they were that good.
Oh, really?
That's like my hot take. I think a lot of people would disagree because I know people really love those songs. I really like Kimi Coco now, but back then I wasn't a huge fan. So yeah, I, like back then Aqua's music didn't really do anything for me, and when the anime came out, I was one of those people that looked at the characters and I was like, okay, Chika is just Honoka, Mari is just Ellie, Daya is just like, or you know, Riko is Umi, stuff like that, right? And I did sort of feel like, okay, they're just ripping off Muse to sell a product or whatever, right? And it wasn't until, I don't know, maybe I watched season 1, I got maybe to like episode 10 of season 2, and then I kind of like just forgot about Love Live for a while, and I mostly ignored it, apart from like listening to the music from time to time. I never finished season 2 until like maybe a year or two after that.
Wow.
And then I really got into the series around like the pandemic, right? So I think like 2020, everything got locked down, and I think a lot of actually, the Aqua's concerts got canceled, right? They were doing a dome tour, and Love Live staff was airing a bunch of concerts on their YouTube channel. So that was one of the things that my friends and I did during the pandemic, was like stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning watching these concerts they were live streaming on YouTube. So yeah, that was kind of how I got back into Love Live, and I rewatched Sunshine. I decided, yes, this is peak. Nijigasaki came out shortly after that, and then Superstar, and then Hasuna Sora.
Yeah. I think for me, right, Sunshine, like if you look at Sunshine as a Muse copycat, I think you wouldn't really enjoy it as much as when you like look at them separately. Because
yes,
when I watched the Sunshine movie, or when I watched the Sunshine like anime, I never really like I would say, oh, you know, Chika's just a Honoka copy. I just look at them as separately, which is why I think, you know, it's better, or not better, it's still like okay for me to watch it, because, you know, I never thought like, oh, they were like copycats of Muse, and you know that didn't really affect my my impression on it. But I just gotta say that the anime really like did them dirty. I'm not gonna lie, it really just, you know, because season 2 was so boring. That's a hot take from me. Yeah. Yeah,
that's fair. I would disagree. I really liked, well, I think I prefer season 1, but there's a lot of parts of season 2 that I really, really like. I think that the context was really important for me to realize. Like when I first watched Sunshine, I just watched it as like a standalone series. I think you do kind of need to know about SIP a little bit to enjoy it, because I think it is really interesting as a reflection of what like the real IRL Aquars was kind of going through, being the successor to Muse, right? And I kind of like how the story positions them as like this, you know, small town group from a town of like less than 5,000 people, like, you know, super like, yeah, it's like very down to earth. It's much easier to relate with them than like Muse that grow up in the center of Tokyo, like going to Akihabara every weekend, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So I really like that part of Muse, and it's sort of like really, or of Aquars, and it really gave like a good underdog story.
That's true. You know, actually season 2, like, no, I first, like, I would say season 2 is boring, but I like one part of season 2, which was the Saint Snow part with Aquas. You know, the last few episodes, I think it was like from the 8th episode to the 10 or 11, like around that part, where they made the Saint Snow songs and all that stuff, which is, I thought that was a pretty cool like plot to see, because I think that was the one that hooked me back to finish the anime. Or not, I wouldn't really finish it at all, honestly. But
I think one of the important thing with like Love Live season 2s is usually, unless you're Superstar or Nijigasaki, you don't need to spend a lot of time introducing new characters, right? You've got your original 9 and you can just develop them, right? So I think in both School Idol Project and Sunshine, Like season 2 is just time for you to have like a lot more like fun episodes, right?
Yeah.
So and I like a lot of those sorts of episodes. Like in season 2, I agree, like when the first years go to Hokkaido and they do like the St. Aqua Snow and we get the Ruby Leah Center, like I think that episode is super peak. As a Yoshiko fans, obviously I'm gonna say the Riko Yoshiko dog episode is peak.
That's not the episode, man.
I think the Miracle Wave episode is super peak with the Chica flip. Yeah, I don't know. I would say in general, from start to finish, season 1 is probably better, but I think season 2 has like the higher highs.
Yeah, that's fair. But do you watch the movie though?
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, I didn't watch the movie at all. I didn't.
Oh no.
Yeah, up to now I haven't like started it at all because I really got put down by season 2, and I was like, should I really watch it though? Should I really not? Then I just decided I'm not gonna watch it.
I mean, I think you definitely have to watch it because if you like the Saint Snow season 2 episode, it's got a lot of good Saint Snow content in it. But I will say it doesn't have as much of like the emotional impact as School Idol Project's movie had, just because that was like truly the end of Muse in a way. Like obviously they had a final live after that and stuff like that, but for Aquars, like they continue to exist for like 7 years after that. So it's not as impactful, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of really fun stuff about that.
Yeah, I agree because I know the Saint Snow song that came out from it was a banger. It was a banger. Yeah.
Of course, Believe Again. Yeah, Brightest Melody, the Aqua song is really good too.
Kind of. So yeah, before we move on to the questions, like I also want to say one more thing for the idol culture because I was wanting to relate it back to Love Live. So you ever remembered when the VA for Umi, Suzuko Mimori, she got when she said she was gonna get married to the wrestler, then like there's a lot of people who were really angry about that, and my reaction was just like, why is she, okay, wait, sorry. Why is everyone angry about it? Is this more like shouldn't you feel happy for her? Because it's like, it's a person you like, right? So like, like this VA is the person like let's say Mimori is a person that I also like in terms of VA terms, like I stand the person. So it's like, why would you be angry for the person that you stand, when they found happiness? I mean, I get the idol culture, not because the idol culture they always like to say because like once obsessive fans always love to say like once I'm your fan means like you're mine or something, like, right, the idol belongs to the fans themselves and not any other people. So I get the sentiment, but it's really, I really feel that it's unnecessary. I'm not gonna lie.
For sure. I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't know if I was as active on Twitter when that was announced. I did see it a little bit from here and there, but I don't know. On one hand, I think it would have been a lot worse if it had happened like, even 5 years ago, right? I think with Mimori specifically, she's like a massively popular seiyuu outside of Love Live, right?
She is.
I don't think it's like, I would say she's probably the most popular out of any of them, right? You could argue Nal Jono is like also popular because she was part of Fripside and stuff like that, right? But I don't know if there's another Muse member that would be more popular just outside of Love Live. So yeah, like I think obviously because she was like such a huge celebrity, and she got married to a massive celebrity too, right? So I think that kind of generates, and quite honestly too, I think it hurts more from like the kind of messed up fan perspective when your Oshi gets married to like this massive buff wrestler dude, right?
Yeah.
Like if it was just a guy that you never knew and never like knew anything about, right? Then I think there would be less people, not to say that it's right at all, but I think there would be less people upset about it because they just wouldn't know much about the guy. But yeah, I think when you're a lonely, depressed idol fan, you tend to like compare yourself to your Oshi's husband or whatever, which is pretty messed up about the whole thing. But I will say, I mean, I think like, Sora, Nico Seiyu announced recently that she was getting married. I think from what I saw, the reaction to that was all very positive. I didn't see anything get too crazy on Twitter. But again, like, I think the crazy stuff would probably be on Japanese Twitter, and I don't speak Japanese, so...
No, I think it's fine because I feel that the difference between Sora's marriage and Mimori's marriage was basically because of time, because at that point where Mimori was saying that she was gonna get married was like just like 2 to 3 years after the disband of Muse, so everybody was still fresh off the disband. That's what I feel. But now it's already like almost 10 years since the disband, and it's like everybody starts to like, it as sad as it sounds, some people already start to forget about, last time she used to be this Nico Ni idol and stuff, and now she's just like a normal voice actress. So that's what I feel. It's just about time, I guess. But even so, the behavior that's on Mimori is still not right. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's still not right. It never is right.
For sure.
Right? Yeah. I just feel so. That's just an interesting topic to really come about for this voice actress thing, to relate it back to idol culture, right? Yeah.
So we'll just your Oshi is Emmy, right? Emmy
yeah.
Yuka?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll revisit this podcast episode if she gets a marriage announcement.
Oh, damn, that's
we'll
crazy.
See if you're consistent.
That's crazy.
If I see you going crazy on Twitter and being all upset, I will show you this podcast episode and say, isn't that interesting?
Don't expose me like that, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. So with that, we are done with the general discussion for the podcast. So now we are moving on to the personal questions kind of thing. The you ask me, I ask you kind of question section. So
sure.
Do you want to go first, or would you, or do you want me to go first?
I'm perfectly down to go first.
Sure.
So, Mr. Hexagon Cube, for your writing career here, I've seen you've been writing on AO3, Medium, all over the net for, I thought 7 years, but apparently you've been writing for up to 10.
Yeah.
I guess I just want to know about how you got inspired to write. Was it a particular writer or a particular book or something that made you do it, or have you just kind of always been writing for as long as you can remember?
For me, because I started writing during, because I had like paperback books back then. It was like when I was like, let's see, how many years was that ago? That was about 14 years ago. I wrote on paper books, but my inspiration for writing was this one English teacher. She was, if I'm not wrong, her name was Miss Wendy. Yeah, I still remember her. So, for her, she inspired me to start writing after like I wrote because in English lessons we have to like write compositions, short compositions for like homework and stuff. But yeah, she read my stuff and she found it good. So she told me like this kind of passion we can be expanded. So she gave me a notebook, and obviously I don't have that notebook anymore. We have moved house here and there, and I really kind of lost it. But that notebook was like the catalyst for me to start writing. That was the first, that book was the very first thing I wrote in there, and it's all gone, honestly. And I have a lot of like paper books before I moved to online, but the paper books were all gone when I moved house and stuff. So yeah, at first because I threw it away too because I thought it was cringe for some of them. Yeah, but then looking back I was like, I just kept it so I can see like how much I've grown throughout the past 14 years of writing and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you obviously do like reviews, so like nonfiction and fiction both at the same time. Mm-hmm. When you were making these books for school and stuff like that, were you mostly doing nonfiction work, or were they encouraging you to write like nonfiction story or fiction stories?
They were. So for the school part, they were telling me to do fiction stories because composition is usually fiction stories. So yeah, that's where I got my fiction stuff. Okay, so for the reviews, right? So yeah, the reviews. So it started when I had an English tutor at like about high school, about my second, third year of high school, I think. About there. And my English wasn't doing that well. I'm not gonna lie, because for me, when I write I would like to write the way I like to write, but when English has a certain style of formal writing that I cannot avoid, and I kind of suck at that. So I had an English tutor come in. So this English tutor decides to teach me the different way of English by asking me to write more stuff and asking me to review a movie. So I was like, okay, so do you know the Spotlight movie with Michael Keaton and Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah, that's about the Catholic Church and stuff like that.
The Catholic churches, the churches thing. So basically, he told me to do a review of that. So I was like, okay, yeah, you know what? He told me to post it on Medium. So at that point of time, Medium was a still relatively new platform And I was like, okay, you know what? Sure, I'll just post it there, right? But then I feel like as time go on, I was like, oh, you know what? I really kind of like reviewing movies, especially those that are like very shitty. It just gives me the kind of like, oh, I can actually rant out all my anger, my pent up anger and frustration on these like horrible abominations that I don't even know why they are in the theaters in the first place. You know,
Right.
yeah, and then that's when I feel like, wow, actually, you know what, I could do like reviews. So that's where it started from there. I started like 2017 for the reviews. So like I just passed my 7th anniversary back in August, which made me realize that, wow, you know, I've actually came a long way from reviewing, from like, you know, a short review stuff to like very long things now. And yeah, it also made me look back on my like fictional writing journey, which is the main one, the main thing that I focus on. So it makes me look back and think like, wow, you know what, it's been a really, really long time since I write, and it's like I can see the improvement from the thing. So it really makes me feel like, oh, writing is really nice to have. It's because I also like writing stuff. It's been a hobby of mine since young, because like I have a lot of ideas in my head usually, and they always come in dreams, and I just really don't want to like let go of the dreams, because sometimes the dreams are really you know, like when you dream something of like really entertaining, and then the next day you wake up, you're like, wow, this shit's really entertaining, and then you have nowhere to write it down, and then you're like, you forget it after a day, and you're like, shit, that was actually good, and I'm like, oh, what do I write? And then you forgot about it, and that's where my kind of also inspiration to start like writing also came from, because it's like, you know, I don't want to miss any more of these ideas. I want to have these ideas put down. So maybe, you know, next time if I write something, then that would be like a good thing to, you know, base on, something like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know. I've never done like a dream journal necessarily, but there have been a few times where I had like such a good one that I immediately recognized as a good one as soon as I woke up. And I'll like pull my phone out and like record a voice memo and just like retell it while I still somewhat remember it. And then I can like listen back to those after. I get some really good ones that way.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting that you say that you were kind of like motivated by that one teacher, because I think I was motivated into writing, but not by choice. Like when I was a kid, like very young, I'm talking like maybe like 8 or 9 years old. I was really into reading, and obviously it was like a step above picture books. Like these were like small chapter novels sort of thing. But I was just terrible at writing for whatever reason, right? I would read these like super long stories that were like much bigger than the ones that kids my age were reading, but then my writing would be, I went to the circus. The circus was fun. I like the circus. It is fun.
That sounds like a poem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think like back then, like my parents had like a conversation with my teacher about like, yeah, like Noir's writing is terrible, and he needs to fix it. And I got, you know, very hardcore like not tutoring officially, but like my parents would have me do similar like writing exercises and stuff like that to practice that. And within like a matter of like a couple of years, my writing became like very terrible to like pretty good, and that was kind of like a strength that I kept throughout like the rest of my school career. Unfortunately, in our schooling system, whether it's high school or university, they don't do a lot of fiction writing at all, which I think is kind of unfortunate. So I became very, very good at nonfiction writing, right? And I think that's still where my strengths are. Like most of my best writing, I think, is when I'm reviewing something, or when I'm writing about like I'm trying to give information about a topic or something like that, right? So I think recently I've been trying to flex my nonfiction muscle a little bit, but
yeah, I can see that you were reviewing the Layla stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good read though. I'm not gonna lie, it was a good read.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, obviously on my account, it's just Love Live focused at the time. There are people that have an interest in non-Love Live content, and I have sort of talked about that at times a little bit before, but right now, I mean, I just want to write what I'm interested in, and that was Hasano Sora and Liela, respectively. Next thing is I have to write a Nijigasaki review so I can tell all the Nijigasaki fans that I don't like their anime, but...
Yeah, you know what? I also don't really like their anime, so yeah, you got another supporter on there.
Yeah, I just need to put it into words because every time I have an argument with people, I need to be able to point to an article and say, oh, you think I'm just a hater? Well, why don't you read this 5,000 word essay about why I'm actually right? So yeah, that'll be the next mission, but I've got to do a lot of other things first. So
Yeah, you know, take your own time as advice from a writer to another writer. I would say take your own time to do it because it's best when you're not rushing it. It's best when you're like, you know, sitting down thinking about it, about how to do your stuff. Then it will come out more natural and nicer than a forced out thing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, next question. Yeah.
Did you want to do your question, or should I go down my list first?
Yeah, just go down your list first.
Oh, okay, my bad. All right. So since I'm a big Birb's Nest fan, of course, I listened to your last episode when you mentioned that you've been getting less interested in Love Live and more into Bandori. We've kind of already talked about this a little bit because you mentioned that you're not the biggest Aqua Wars fan. I know you're not the biggest Niji fan. So I guess what's sort of led you towards Bandori, or why have you been less interested in Love Live?
I wouldn't say less interested because I just felt that Bandori took over me more than expected. It's because Bandori was at a time where, you know, when I was first introduced to it, you know, it's just like any other otaku fan. It's like when you see a prettier girl, you're like, wow, you know, where's that person from? And then you see, oh, so for me, that was one of the girls in Rosalia. I think it's called she's called Rinko Shiokane, if you know. Not really,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So basically, that's how I got into Bandori. Is because of
drummer?
No, she was the keyboardist.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah, it's okay.
Gotcha.
It's fine. So it's basically that is the first thing that got me to Bandori. And the second thing is because, like, you know, when I was watching the anime, I was in a very bad place and time. You know, it was a really dark moment at dark point in my life. So I think the Bandori anime really lifted me up, especially the band Popping Party. So it was like, you know, for me, I was like, yeah, wow, you know, and I tend to like things more that help me with my mental health. Although sometimes the content is good, so I wouldn't say Love Life is bad. I wouldn't say Love Life is bad. I wouldn't say Love Life is like shit. It's just that because when I started watching Love Life, it was like all because of memes that I started watching Love Life. And then as I watched on, it was normal. Like, it was during still school time, so it was like, you know, it was just a normal time and being. But it at that point of time when I started watching Bandori, it was a very like personal. I facing some personal difficulties at that point of time. So Bandori really like cheered me up at that time. So that's why I have more preference towards Bandori, and because the game didn't die. You know, the game.
Hey, don't speak too soon.
The game, I wouldn't speak too soon. Honestly, the game has just started running back, like better because you know, I don't know if you have been following the Bang Dream game progress, but you know, it has been stuck at one point of time because the English team couldn't force an update to the game, so a lot of shit happened. The events were backlogged, you know, everything was delayed and stuff, and everybody was pissed. Everybody was like EOS all the way. But now they fixed it back, so it was like it's really nice to see that they really fixed it back. So I feel that, you know, the game was even more interesting for me than whatever School Idol Festival 2 was, honestly. Like, what the hell was that? And you know, so I felt that, like, you know, that's why I got into Bandori more than Love Live, because Bandori had more stuff for me to do and find stuff. Yeah, it's pretty much that.
Fair enough. I've still not finished season 2. I really like season 1, but I'm a bit of a hater of like 3D animation. I'm not gonna lie. I don't like the Bandori 3D animation, and I've gotten used to it because I have watched MyGo, and I really liked MyGo.
That's peak.
So I will watch all of Bandori eventually, because obviously, I do like the characters. I feel like, just being a Yoshiko fan, I would really like to see more of Rosalia, and I know they're more season 2, season 3 characters. So I do need to get through it eventually.
If you're a Rosalia fan, you should watch the Rosalia films instead, because those are better. I mean, you might need a little bit of Bandori knowledge, but I think the Rosalia films are just fine, honestly. And I get why you dropped season 2, honestly. Not just because of the 3D thing, but I think the plot for it was not that good. I'm not gonna lie. Season 2 was so in my opinion. I think season 1 strikes a lot, but when season 2 came in, it was like, I like the popping story part of the anime, but the rest of it was just like, it was really random stuff. So it was like I don't even know what I'm watching half the time. So it's just like, they kind of did it bad. So yeah, I kind of agree with you if you drop it. It's not that great, but it's not that bad.
I will watch it though.
Yeah.
Actually. It's just I have such an extreme backlog right now that I'm trying to clear up first.
Oh yes.
And then Bandori will probably be after that.
Sure. All right.
I guess to move on to my next question then.
Sure.
So if, this one's just a bit of a fun one, because I often wonder, like, obviously I watched Love Live so long ago.
Yeah.
I wonder if I watched it today, would I have the same first impression of what I did back then, right?
Yeah.
Or was it just because I watched it at that time that it was so good? So if you could erase any memory you have of a show and watch it again, what would you pick?
Perfect Blue.
Yeah.
I'm a very, very big Perfect Blue fan. I am I would say because it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and the realization of the movie really hit me hard. So I want to take it back to like when I'm first like very like unsure of what the movie's even talking about. That would be, and then the moment I start realizing, I'll be like, wow, damn, that feeling again would be really nice. It would be really, really nice for me. That's why I would have to pick Perfect Blue.
Okay, it's a pretty goated pick.
Yeah.
I would probably do something similar to that because, I mean, for me, it would probably be Evangelion. The first time that I watched the series, obviously, like, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
But when I watched the follow-up movie, End of Evangelion, that's like one of the first times, because I hadn't watched a lot of anime and I didn't even really watch a lot of movies either. It was like one of the first times that I watched a piece of media and it like mentally fucked me up for like, almost like 2 days. I was like mentally stuck on the events of that movie and what the fuck just happened. So yeah, I think that would probably be my pick. Moving on, I know you're a big Popping Party fan, and you are trying to go to their concert.
Yeah.
If you could see any other group, I guess we'll not count Muse, since that's not an option.
Yeah.
What would be your second pick? And it doesn't have to be an anime group. It could be just like a regular musical artist.
Oh, so yes. An artist is fine. It's not a group, right? It can be.
It doesn't have to be.
I would like to see. Let me see. I would like to see Emin Soon's concert if I could go to even like her concert at this time, because I know she had a concert around June this year, which I couldn't attend because I was in Taiwan. So it's pretty sad, not gonna lie. But I still enjoyed my time in Taiwan. I still bought her stuff in Taiwan, honestly. So it's like, I'm trying to make it up for the concert thing. It's just, I want to go to an Emin Soon concert. Yeah, it would be really nice to see her sing, because I think she has a really good singing ability, even though she has like a condition that she got like in 2019, but still the singing is still really good. Like, wow, the condition didn't hold her back, and that's fucking amazing. That is really good. So yeah, I
didn't mention it during, I guess, my concert hopes, but yeah, I definitely, if Liella and Aquars isn't an option, I will try to go in October for Ican's birthday concert. It was just 2 days ago, and I've seen a lot of people I follow on Instagram and Twitter post photos from it.
Oh.
And
yeah.
Obviously a missed opportunity.
Nah, you should just go if there's yeah. If there's the next one, you should just go for that. Then maybe next year there's one more. Who knows?
Yeah, no doubt. All right, on to my next question. So when you write, I guess I'll speak specifically to fiction, because with the review, I'm going to assume it's a little bit different. Do you have an outline of the story? Like, do you know exactly what's going to happen? Because obviously, so Soldier Game, like your biggest, I guess, fan fiction is like 42 chapters, right?
Yeah.
Massive story. Do you have an idea of what was going to happen from chapter 1 all the way to 42, or did it just sort of develop like every time you sat down to write?
For me, it was basically so when I ever start planning a story, I will only plan for the main things in the story. So let's say like, the bad guy, the good guy, what's gonna happen, the main parts of it, like the fighting. Maybe there's some conflicts here and there, the biggest conflicts of the story. I'll put that as a planning part, and then I'll try to plan that out. And then so I will start when I start writing, I will just like slowly put them in, and then for the filler parts, they are as I go. Like, let's say, if I were to take an example, there was this one part in Soldier Game where I wrote this more. Let me think of a scene. Okay, let's say I wrote this in chapter 25 or 6. You probably won't go there, but just saying that I around that part, they had a fight at a warehouse and that kind of stuff, But that wasn't planned at all in the first place. I was planning to put it in a different setting and stuff, but it became a warehouse because I felt that as the story goes, there'll be something in there, right? I have to put something in there so that it makes sense for something to happen. And and also for some of the characters, when I plan out, like some of the characters weren't even there in the first place. So if you have read the story, there's a mage called Grace in the story. Yeah, that mage was not there in the first place. It was never my intention to put a fantasy thing right there. But because of story plot continuation, I decided to put the the mage. Oh my god, why am I having a difficulty? I decided to put the mage in there, right? But after that, I also decided I planned for the mage also because she will appear in the sequel, basically. But when I add a character, I also want it to not be like a one-time kind of thing, unless it's like a bad guy or let's say like I want to make this character impactful, so I will plan for the character too. So for Grace, I also want to try to make her impactful. So of course, I did write her a lot in the first one, but she will appear more in the second one, which is why I didn't write a lot in the first one. So like sometimes when I plan, it just goes along as I write, but it's more of the main plots. Like let's say the crime syndicates gets defeated and stuff. That is the main plot. So like fighting, there has to be fighting. So obviously I'll just plan out the fighting a bit, and then there will be some conflict between, let's say, Koto Umi. So that the conflict I will also like plan it out, but the in-betweens I would just like fill it in as I go along. So that's pretty much my writing progress.
Nice. So full disclosure, like I have read some of Soldier Game. I haven't completed it. And I just looking at the tags on AO3. I think I'm up to like chapter 10 at this point. And I keep looking at the tags and I'm like, when is the magic ever gonna make sense here?
So I spoiled your ass. Oh, my bad. I didn't know that.
No. I mean, obviously with the tags, I'm like, okay, there's like a fantasy element, but I'm like, how does that work in this like crime syndicate, like almost like film noir setting? But yeah. Pun intended, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I will read through the entire thing eventually. I have really enjoyed it so far.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So on to my next question. You mentioned Sif and Sif 2 earlier. Do you think that we are ever going to get another LL Love Live Rhythm game, or are we going to stick to more like Hasuna Sora Link, like Love Live sort of content?
I feel that because they're not really gonna stick with it because they feel that SIF didn't earn a lot of money. And honestly, I think, in my opinion, I think Sifas was the best game. Honestly, not because not totally because I got a lot of like videos and because when I did Sifas at that point of time, I got a lot of videos that got a lot of high views for it. There's this one point of time I had this video called how to clear Love You My Friends advanced stage without the 2 strongest cards in the game. And so obviously everybody was like everybody wanted to watch that because like every person who cleared that song had the strongest cards in the game. And I was trying to tell people like it's not necessary. Although I've spent like a good week trying to beat the song, I spent a good week because you see, Sifas is like fun in terms of you need to use your brain to think like, oh, where to put this card, or what does this card do? Can this card really help me like recover stamina or increase the score, that kind of thing. It's really, really fun to think about this kind of things. So I feel that that's where Sifas really shines. But it like every other game, every other gacha game, they gotta come up with some over powerful shit, and then the stages gotta be some crazy only whales can pass kind of thing. So it's like that's where the game started deteriorating for me, and I really like I really felt bad for the game, I'm not gonna lie, because they really wanted the money, and it's really sad to see that they really tried, but if they really kept the standards from back then, I think it would still be better up to today. It would still survive. And the fact that Sifas died for Civ 2 is fucking crazy, because Civ 2 isn't that great in the first place. It's just a rehash of the first game with all the songs. Like come on, what's the difference between Civ 1 and 2? You know, I know like sequels are supposed to be like somewhat the same thing. You know, you don't expect Call of Duty 1 to be like a FPS, and then Call of Duty 2 become a freaking Monopoly game. You know, of course, let's not expect that, right? But like, come on, like if it's the same exact thing, then why not just like, you know, I don't know, man. And Civ 2 doesn't feel like really entertaining or like good. Like I'm sure almost like every fan feels that Civ 2 really underperformed. It really is just that bad. I don't know how to say it, but when you play it, it just feels like you're not enjoying yourself to the fullest, because it's about the same thing as the first one. It's just you can't even use the cards from like number 1 to bring to number 2. You have to start all over again, and it's the same exact thing, like exact down to the bone. The gacha, the tapping, even the 9 tappers, they're all the same. Everything is the same. It's just a rehash of number 1 with like more gacha aspects. Like, who the hell would even want that at this point, right? It's like,
I hear you there.
Yeah, come up with like something new. So when I heard Civ 2 was coming out, fun fact, when I heard Civ 2 was coming out, I thought it would be like the Bandori style. If you played the Bandori game before, or if you've seen at least the gameplay of it before, you know, it's a straight line with like the taps.
Yes.
So I would have thought Civ 2 would be that, and if Civ 2 was that, I would have been more invested into it, because I want to see a Love Life game like the Bandori game, but with Love Life songs. And with the gacha aspect, you know what? You know, if I really enjoy the game, I would blow some money on it, for real. But it's the same rehash from Civ 1, and I hate that kind of like 9 tapping things. It's so annoying. Like it forces you to use your index finger, your whole fingers, in fact, which is really crazy. I don't like it. I just like to use my thumb. So it's a really bad thing. So because Civ only asks you to use your thumbs, because there's only 2 buttons for you to press. And the third one is just an index finger, which is not all the time you need to press the SP. So it's easier for me. Yeah, so I feel that, you know, because if the staff really don't appreciate how to make the games, then we're not gonna see a game ever again for Love Life, unless they decided, you know, the Love Life, you know, we can use it for Bandori, because they're both Bushiroad games. So why not just use the same thing for Bandori for Love Life, since Bandori is like doing quite well too, right? So I don't understand why they're not really like taking advantage of that. Maybe they don't want it to be the same as Bandori, but I mean, that's a new try, right? You know,
if I had to take a guess, I would say that they probably are worried that like if they do the exact same thing as Bandori, they're going to like damage the market for Bandori. Like, you know, both games can't be super popular, right? I don't know if that's true or not, or if like, you know, both games could coexist, but I think that's probably their logic for it. I don't know. I mean, I personally have my own opinions on Sif and Sif-Ass. I know you'll ask me about it later, so I'll hold that for later. But I don't know. Me personally, I wasn't the biggest Sif-Ass fan, even though I did play a lot of it.
Understandable. Understandable.
I'll get to that later, I guess. So I guess my next question then is, so obviously as a writer, I'm sure you read a lot of other writers' works. Do you ever compare yourself to other writers, or do you kind of just focus on your own craft? Because I would say, obviously my sphere is different than yours, but whenever I see a writer that does something amazing that I really look up to, it almost sort of demoralizes me, because I'm thinking, well, you know, I could never write something that good. So I guess, would you ever like do you have struggles like that, or do you mostly just focus on your own work?
I would say early in my career, I would feel this kind of way also. Like when I look at some like good works, I would be like, you know, well, I will understand the amount of like work, the amount of like attention they're getting, but then I would look at mine and be like, you know, why is it like my things are not getting anything, you know? But right now I see like, you know, when I look back at it, I was like, these books are a piece of shit. If they ever get the attention, I will kill myself for that, honestly. But for me, like right now, about these few years, I would say I compare myself to writers as in terms of, I like to see other writers on what they're writing, and I always like to see like, how interesting can it get, you know? Because it's fun to see like other people write stuff also in a different way and sense. So for me, right, when I wrote Soldier Game, obviously everybody would say, wow, you know, because you have the similar premise to, not similar premise, like I would say, you know, you had the similar inspiration, like this person called Joan Stone who wrote Soldier Wars. Yeah, I'm sure everybody knows that fic. Everybody knows that fic for sure. And I've never got inspired by her before. I've written Soldier Game completely without reading her stuff. Only like when I finished Soldier Game, then I decided, okay, you know what, because I don't want, because for me, right, I want to take the ideas from myself. I never want to get inspired like by other people's like fan fiction works, because you know, I feel that stealing people's ideas is not good, especially as a writer. It's unethical. So for me, stick to my ideas first before, you know, when I finish everything, then I'm like, yeah, you know what, I cannot steal ideas anymore. I already finished the story. What can I do? Correct? So so I went to see Soldier Wars a bit. I went to like read it. And I think it's a pretty good thing, you know. And like in this case, I would say, you know, each people have their own writing style. It's not like because someone does better and someone gets better stuff or better attention means that your work is pretty shit. It's just because your work is not really like, you know, it's not known. It's just not well known to other people. You know, people don't find it more often as the one that is more popular and famous. And also because for me, when I compare myself to Soldier Wars has been written in like the peak of Muse. So obviously everybody's gonna read it, right? Because it's a pick of Love Life. Who is going to be like, oh, this fake Love Life, you, right? I'm not reading that shit, right? So and compared to me, I wrote it in like 2021 for my one. At this point of time, it was Arco, it's not Muse anymore. So it's like, you know, it's really, and I think the other thing that really affected it was the pairings that they had, because they had Nico Maki and Nozo Ellie. So those were the two most popular shippings in Love Live Muse fandom at that point of time. Correct? So for me, I didn't put Nozo Ellie in the fic, and for Nico Maki, I didn't put Nico Maki, I put Hono Maki. So it was a rare pair. I mean, I wouldn't call it a rare pair, but it's just a more rarer pair than Nico Maki. No. So that's why I feel like, you know, a lot of these conditions are what really separates me from Soldier Wars. So it's like, you know, I couldn't really compare myself to that at all. I couldn't really say like, well, why is this person doing better and why I'm not doing better. People have like different writing styles. As you go on your writing career and stuff, you realize that, you know, everybody has a different style of writing. But at the end of the day, we are all writers. You know, we all have different ways of expressing ourselves, and I think that's pretty good, because if we were to read the same thing over and over again, it would be like very boring at this point. So if each writer has their unique flair to it, then, you know, it's a pretty good thing, honestly. You know, it don't give the oversaturation of the same thing over and over again. And of course, if you think that, you know, if your work is not famous enough, maybe it's because you posted it at like the wrong time, or you just don't have the shipping that, you know, people will really like to see instead of, you know. But I would always like to say, as a writer, follow your own vision. Don't, like, just because of what other people are doing and you think that that's gonna succeed, you follow them. Because if you force yourself to write something you don't like, it will never turn out good. Like, you know, fun fact, when I first started writing my first online story, I wanted to follow Five Nights at Freddy's fanfic. So I wrote Five Nights at Teddy's. That was a very forced fic that I wish to not look back at, and you know, it's a forced thing. So that's why it doesn't really sound as good as it is when you, if I were to read it back now, I think I would just die from cringe, honestly. And the plot is not even there anymore, because it's like I'm trying to just copy FNAF at this point, and if I don't know the source material also, and I just try to copy just for the fame, isn't that like that's not good anymore? That's not really yourself anymore. That's just a industrial personalized version of you, which is what you don't want when you're writing at all. That's what I feel. So I mean, comparing is growing up also, honestly. If you compare yourself, you know, if you can, I think you will feel that you can do better when you compare. You know, you're like, okay, maybe I can improve here and there, because sometimes I read other people's stuff and the languages are also improved from there. You know, like I improve my language from reading other people's stuff also. So obviously when you compare, it's good and bad at the same time. You know, you can feel like very bad for yourself, like why you're not getting a lot of that and this and that. But you know, it's all part of the process, honestly. You know, it's just more like do your own stuff. I think it's if it's your hobby, if it's your passion, just do it. Never follow what other people are doing, you know, unless you're also interested in that and you can write that, then sure. No, but always be yourself. It's better to be yourself, so people can, you know, people can see it when you're being very genuine in your writing compared to when you're trying to copy some other people. It's you know, it's really bad. So also another fun fact about the reviews thing. So, you know, for my reviews, for 7 years, you would have thought I would have gotten a lot of attention for my reviews, but I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
Right.
I only started gaining attention recently for a review that I did last year. So then the views started going in these days. But for the past like 5-6 years, I didn't get any traction at all. It was like very, very low. So for me, it's just like, you know, do what you enjoy and don't care about what other people think or what other people feel about your work and stuff, as long as you enjoy it. And I think if there'll be a group of people that will enjoy your work too, trust. There will always be someone that enjoys your work. So as long as that person enjoys your work, then, you know, you make one person happy. That's pretty good already, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely hear what you're saying when you're talking about reading other people's work and, you know, improving your own language and your own writing. Because as I said earlier, like a lot of the writing that I've done has mostly been nonfiction. So I feel like one of the things that I just have trouble coming up with good ways of writing is dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Because you never have to write a dialogue scene in an essay or like a, you know, report or something like that, right? So yeah, I think reading other people's stuff especially has helped in, you know, making dialogue that is a little less forced and is a little bit more natural. But yeah, no, I think that's a very well thought out answer. I guess completely switching topics.
Yeah.
As far as, because you mentioned that recently you've gotten into buying a lot more merchandise.
Yeah.
What is like your one piece of dream merchandise that you could have, regardless, like, you know, you just have a blank check, you can buy whatever you want?
Actually, I don't really know what. I was like thinking about it this past few days, and I was like, I don't really know because like I mostly own the stuff that I bought, like I wanted to buy, but I would say maybe if there is a one piece of thing that I would like. Wow, actually it's quite hard to think about it because I really don't know what to like want to buy. Honestly, it's just maybe like some new stuff, I guess, or some like popping party stuff. So I would say maybe okay. So just to give one example, I would prefer to have you know, Y Squads.
Yep.
Yeah. So
the trading card game.
Yeah, the trading card game. So basically, there was this Honoka special edition card that is in golden color and stuff. I don't even know whether I have the picture right now, but you can search it up after this. But the card is like pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. It's really good, but it's like I don't know how much it's about. Like maybe 900 USD.
Woo.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah,
right. It's a one of a kind card, and it looks very nice. It's a Honoka card, right? Yeah, but it's a really good card that I like to own if I can find. Yeah, if I have a blank check, I would just buy that card first. Honestly, I would.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I asked the question, but I thought about it myself, and I didn't have like that many amazing answers. A lot of the answers that I have are just things that are more expensive than they should be, right? Like I somewhat collect like vinyl records, right? And there was a vinyl release of Koi no Aqua and Kimi no Koko for Aquars. And if you try to buy those on eBay, it's literally a record that's only 3 songs long, and it costs $200 per record.
Oh, that's crazy.
Which is insane. Like they released for like $50. It's just, you know, because they were so rare. So that would probably be my pick. If I want to do like one meme option, you can also buy these Evangelion 1/1 scale figures. And they're like $5,000. So well, that's more of a meme. I don't know if I actually want like a massive Evangelion character in my apartment. All right, here's a bit of a fun one. So from all Love Live series, if you could make a group consisting of 5 members, who would you pick and why? I guess keeping in mind that we probably want to have a member that's like, you know, able to make songs, a member that's able to make costumes, stuff like that.
Oh, wow. This question, I couldn't really think of an answer. I'm not gonna lie to you. But yeah, because, you know, I'm not really sure of who creates the costume in like Niji onwards. It just like they just all went singing and dancing, and there was no separate distinction of who's creating the shit anymore. Okay. So at this point, I was like, who can I pick? But based on like just the vocal abilities alone, right? I would just pick like my 5 favorite from each group. Honestly, not really each, because I haven't watched Hasunora yet. So I mean, you know, it's of course a lot of people like to say, you know, there's YouTube translations, there is this and there's that, but I'm just not interested in it. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So basically, Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. So you just pick your favorites, like your. Let me see if I can guess here.
Yeah.
Kotori, Umi, Honoka, Ellie Maki.
Oh, but that's.
So they all be Muse characters, or?
Yeah, but that would be all 5 Muse. So I just like to be a little bit more like separated.
Yeah.
So we'll pick like 2 from Muse, 1 from Aquas, 1 from Niji, and 1 from Layla, right? So for the 2 Muse, I would put Honoka and Maki. Because I think they have 2 good singing abilities. So for sure, I'll put them in first, right? And then for Aquas, I think I would say I'm stuck between Yo and Kanan. I think I'll go with Yo. Yeah, I think I'll go with Yo because her song sounds better, honestly. For the most part. And Nijigasaki, I think I'll put Shizuku.
Okay.
Yeah. And then for Layla, I'll put very standard answer. I think I'll put Kanon.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it's,
I would judge, but I would think I would have similarly normie answers.
Yeah.
It's difficult to not just like pick my favorites. I think when I was asked this, because that's where I got the idea from. Somebody asked me if for like 9 members.
Yeah.
So I limited to 5 just so that it wouldn't be as crazy.
Yeah.
But when I was asked for 9, I picked like 3 members for music, 3 for like writing lyrics, and then 3 for like dancing. So I did Riko, Mia, and Maki for music.
Okay.
I did Yoshiko, Ren, and Setsuna for lyrics. Even though I don't think Ren ever writes lyrics, but I don't know. I just thought it would be fun. And then Shiki, Ellie, and Sarah from Saint Snow for dancing.
Yeah, Saint Snow. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that, but yeah, I guess we'll just pretend that we did not include them. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just trying to give a hipster answer, I guess.
Yeah. That's fine.
All right, so then my last and final question then is just a bit of a meme. Do you ever think we're ever gonna move to Blue Sky, or are we gonna be unstuck on Twitter forever?
I think we're gonna be stuck on Twitter forever. I'm not gonna lie to you because I think Twitter is too big to fail. It's like as much as Elon Musk is like fucking it up so hard, I feel that a lot of people, too many people use the platform per month, that it's so hard to fail this thing. It's like, Instagram and Facebook, even though Facebook is for like freaking boomers and the changes to it are like crazy, but everybody still uses Facebook. It's still running up to today, so it's not like it's gonna go forever anywhere else. This sounds like that. It's like it's too big of a social media platform, and it's where a lot of people always like to do stuff because you can easily tweet something. It's just like a 5-6 word thing. You can just post it without a picture, and it's sent out to the world, and it's very convenient and easy to do Twitter stuff. So, and Twitter has been there since like a long time ago, compared to like the new platforms like Blue Sky and stuff. I understand that people are moving to Blue Sky because they're sick and tired of Elon's changes to the platform, but I think I really think they will come back to Twitter because Twitter is still a place where they really gain a following. They really make a reputation for themselves there. Why would they want to move to a new platform where there's absolutely nothing and stuff?
Yeah, it's going to be really awkward when all the artists that moved off of Twitter to Blue Sky are going to be all back within like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I think I'll just give them a week or something. They'll come back eventually. They will.
Yeah, exactly. I have one, but I don't foresee ever needing to use it.
I don't have one Blue Sky thing, but I'm not really I don't think I would do Blue Sky anyway. This probably would. Okay.
Right, fair enough. That's what I got for my questions.
Alright, so now I'm gonna ask the guests some questions. Alright, so this is about 10 questions too, yeah? So for the first question, I would like to ask, you've seen a lot of completed, you like have a lot of completed anime on your My Anime List profile, right? So what do you think is actually the most, or just underrated, but it's like very good and entertaining to watch?
So anytime you ask me like what is like the best or what is like the number one, I'm always going to be able to I'm going to have to pick a few options. So I've got 3 for this one. One of them is a little bit of a meme. So one of my favorite anime of all time is a anime called Ping Pong the Animation. It's directed by Masaaki Yuasa, who is probably best known for shows like Tatami Galaxy, and he also did Devilman Crybaby as well.
Oh,
or no,
okay,
sorry,
okay.
no, he,
I
yeah.
think
So
I
he
know.
was part of that production as well. And so that's one of my favorite directors is Masaaki Yuasa, and the soundtrack for it is also done by a guy called Kensuke Ushio, who did the Chainsaw Man soundtrack. He did Silent Voices soundtrack. He recently did what's the show?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dangers in My Heart.
Oh,
The romance anime
okay,
from
okay,
a few
yeah,
seasons
yeah.
ago.
understand.
So yeah, he's a really amazing musician, and I love his soundtracks. I've got a few vinyls of his work as well. Second option would be a show called, it's on Netflix I think still, called Dragon Pilot Hisone and Masotan, this one is really underrated. I feel like nobody has watched this show. It's got like 50, 60 watches on Mal, 50, 60,000. It's basically the premise, without giving too much away, is it follows these characters that work on like a military base where they fly fighter jets, but in this universe there is no such thing as a fighter jet necessarily. Like there is, but the fighter jets that these characters fly are actually dragons that transform into fighter jets. Which sounds like a really stupid premise.
That sounds like Transformers.
Yeah, kind of. It's got really, really cute characters. The animation is beautiful, and it's got some real banger OP and ED personally. And then my last pick is something that, depending on what country you're in, you can still see in theaters right now, and that's Look Back, which I just saw about 2 weeks ago in theaters. It's based off of a manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto, who did Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought it was going to be pretty good, but after watching it, I'm fairly confident in saying that it's like one of my favorite movies I've seen like all year. And it also has a really good soundtrack as well by a guy who used to when you mentioned lo-fi hip-hop earlier, do you know like lo-fi music, have you ever listened to Nujabes before?
No. I have not.
Oh, okay. He was kind of like a lo-fi hip-hop guy, right?
Yeah.
Before lo-fi hip-hop was really a thing, and he had a guy who produced music with him called Haruka Nakamura, and he does the soundtrack for this, which is really crazy to me because I listened to this guy when I was like in high school, and I really liked the soundtrack when I watched the movie, and so as soon as I got out, I like looked up who did the soundtrack, and I was like, oh wow, holy shit, it's like
Yeah.
somebody I used to listen to like 10 years ago.
Now that feeling is really cool, yeah.
Yeah. So those would be my 3 picks personally. If you're in the UK, I know for sure, any UK listeners, they can go to theaters now, I think for the next 3 weeks, and they can watch Look Back. You should go because we should support good anime in theaters so we don't get more My Hero Academias.
Oh my god, that's serious. But yeah, I might, because I'm not in the UK though, but I might just go to the cinema and see if there's any more of that shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's well worth it.
Alright, so on the other hand, what is the worst anime you've watched that you've completed thus far?
This one also is hard because I generally will drop anything that's like really, really bad. So
Yeah.
I would say like, the shows that I end up finishing are the ones that are like just okay enough.
So what's
for
the
me to watch it all the way.
like what is the worst one? Like what is the most bottomest of the completed anime? It's not really the
Yeah,
worst. But
of the completed ones,
Yeah.
I would say, so there's one anime called The Detective Is Already Dead, which is based on a visual novel.
Oh.
Some people might really like that anime, but
Oh, I like the character though.
yeah, the anime, yeah, the character is good, I agree, and that's why I like watched it and I kind of got into it. But the anime is so boring and it's so have you seen the anime?
Not much. Maybe the first
Okay.
2 episodes. Yeah.
It does like a really, it thinks it's smarter than it is, and does a lot of like random time skips. So part of the show will be like 20 years in the past, and then we'll go to like 10 years in the future, and then 5 years in the past, and it's like all, messed up format, and it doesn't make for like a very good viewing experience. I wasn't a fan. Another show would be, I think it came out like the same season or the next season. It's a show called The Fire Hunter, or Hikari no O,
Okay. I don't
which
know that,
conversely, like, yeah, it has a really good story, but the animation is like, it's literally like practically still frames, right? Like PowerPoint moving from one side of the screen to the other.
Oh, is that bad?
Yeah, it's not CG though. It's like it's 2D animated, but it's probably almost as bad as like the Berserk 2016 CG anime that everybody hates. But yeah, those would be the ones that I completed. Everything else that is really, really bad, I've just straight up dropped.
Okay. Then this next question, I'm very interested to know, because you've always said that your favorite character from Love Live is Yohane, the Fallen Angel, right? So is there any other character that will beat this Fallen Angel, or is there anyone actually? Would that
so you'd have to go through my waifu history here, right? So like I said earlier, like there was a time where I wasn't like massive into Aquars, right? My first Love Live favorite was Honoka. And even before that, like Honoka is not, I really like Honoka. I've got like plenty of like Honoka merch, but she's probably like maybe like my fourth or fifth favorite Love Live character at this point. So yeah, outside of Love Live, my favorite, before I got really big into it, my favorite character was Ayanami Rei from Evangelion. She's still, like if I call Yoshiko my wife, Ayanami Rei is like my ex-wife. So, but we're still on good terms. Like, we still have coffee together and we like, hang out, but we're just not married anymore. So I've got a lot of Rei merch and I really like Rei a lot. She's obviously my best girl from Evangelion, and as a result I have to like hate Asuka from that show as well. They had a collaboration with Nikkei recently, and I absolutely hate gacha games, but the only reason I played Nikkei was just so that I could pull for Rei. So I got like 5 copies of Rei, and then I think I uninstalled the game like 3 days later.
That's okay. Respectable.
Yeah, and then my second, or I guess like my third option would be Nagato Yuki from Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, because that was like probably my second anime that I ever watched, and Yuki was just my favorite character from that show. If it's not obvious, I really like kuderes. Like I really like the quiet girls, as weird as that sounds. Not to say that like all my favorite girls are like that, or my best girls. I like to say I'm pretty diverse with my taste, but there's a lot of times where there's a show and everybody will say like that's the Noir coded character. Like when Shiki was announced for Love Live Superstar, literally all of my friends said, oh yeah, like Noir is gonna love that one for sure.
And do you love
blue hair, red eye? Yeah, like Shiki's my favorite from Liella for sure. So yeah, blue hair, red eyes, quiet, shy, it's everything I like in a character.
But that's fair. So basically Yohane is the top and you'll never be beaten, right?
Yes, hopefully.
Hopefully. No, it's okay. I think it's pretty good to have a favorite character, honestly. Yohane is a decent choice. I'm not gonna lie. Decent choice.
Nice. Yeah, I would say great choice, but decent choice is good. I'll take decent.
Yeah. So I spoke about this earlier, and now it's your turn to speak about it. So out of the 3 main Love Live mobile games, I'm sure you played all of them, right? But which is your favorite and why?
So one point of clarification: when we're talking 3, the third one we're talking about is Hasuna Sora, right?
Oh no.
Or are we talking about
the main
Pucci?
Yeah, the
Pucci
main ones, because
you're thinking about Sif.
Yes, Sif 2 and...
I didn't even think about Sif 2.
Yeah, because for context, right, there's a lot of Love Live games out there. I know there was the Pucci Go one, and there was the running one, and then after that the Hasunowa game is the one. But I feel like because there's 3 of them that are out on global, right? Or was out on global. So those are the 3 main things, because they are like worldwide known to other people. So that's why I would say main. So,
right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. I when I thought about the question, I literally was not even thinking about Sif 2. I was like, oh, he's thinking like Sif ass, and then Hasuna Sora. But anyway, to answer your question, I played Sif obviously before Sif ass came out, and I did really like that game. But full disclosure, like I suck at rhythm games. Like I'm really bad. So like I think on Sif, I think like I could pass medium songs.
Okay, that's not bad.
But yeah, like I was not really good at Sif at all. So I played it a fair bit, but I never got like super hardcore into it. And then Sifas came out, and obviously like me and my friends that are into Love Live were like super excited for it because it was going to have like 3D dancing scenes and stuff like that. So there's a lot of reasons to be like very hyped for it. And when it came out, honestly, I really didn't like the gameplay. You were talking earlier about like how you really like the strategy aspects and how you didn't have to use your index figures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I agree, it's definitely like easier to play, but that sort of style of gameplay was like kind of boring to me personally. Like there was so much information when I first got into the game that I didn't know about, like how to build a team, why you would pick like an SP character over a voltage character or something like that, right? And there was so little that I knew about it, and I feel like the game did a terrible job of teaching you as well, right?
Agreed.
Because you come from Sif, and your logic is, okay, as long as I hit the notes and I hit a perfect score, I'm gonna pass the song, right?
Yeah.
And the thing that triggered me the most about Sifas was I would do like 100% score and still fail the song because I just had like a bad team setup, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have like a healer or something like that on my team. So yeah, like that sort of thing really annoyed me when I first got into Sifas. Eventually, when I found like resources online and stuff to teach me how to play the game, then I started to enjoy it a little bit more. But yeah, the gameplay just never really clicked for me. So when Sif 2 got announced, I was really excited because first of all, we could finally get all like the Liella characters in and stuff like that, which we didn't have in Sifas. And I was also excited because I was sort of hoping we would get 3D in that game as well, right? Obviously, we didn't get 3D, and we got pretty well the same experience as Sif 1, which I don't think is necessarily a bad idea. Because obviously Sif was like a massively popular game, but I just don't think they added enough to make it worthwhile to actually switch over, right? Like you said, like they had to kill Sifas to get Sif 2 going, and Sif 1 was already killed at that point. So I think people that stopped playing Sif 1 because it died just never had any intention of ever going over to Sif 2. Which I think is a real shame, because I think if they just launched that game with a little bit better options, like more ways to play and 3D animations, I feel like that game would still be alive. But yeah, I don't know. So long way to answer your question. My favorite is gonna be SIF, but I really wanted to like SIF 2 as well.
No, I mean, it's fair. Some people like SIF, so SIF is understandable because SIF is the OG, like one of the nicest games to have ever played. I've ever played. It's just I don't like the tapping rhythm aspect, but I think other than that, it's a pretty good game. Honestly, I would think it's very interesting for its time when it was first released. So
for sure.
Just Civ 2 was really like what I said earlier. It's just too concentrated on the gacha aspect. I really think it was too concentrated on the gacha aspect. It didn't really make you feel like you're playing a game. You're just playing a game to get the favorite cards, but the favorite cards are locked behind a really expensive paywall, and it's really crazy because people are just sick and tired of that shit. Really sick and tired of it, right? Yeah,
for sure. And I think too, when you compare it to like, so in Sif 2, right? Like if you pull for you are Yohane card or whatever, right? Like you get the card and you can use it in songs, and there's bond stories for it, but there's not a lot of like fun ways to actually interact with that, right? Like if you're playing Genshin Impact and you pull for whatever, like your new favorite character or whatever, like you play with that character all the time. You have like cool like character interactions, voice clips that you can play through it, right? Stuff like that. Or like a game like Uma Musume, right? Like when you pull for a new horse, there's like so many ways you interact with that character. Correct. In Sif 2, like you are Yohane, and like you don't really get a lot to show for it, other than you now have like this good card that scores really well in the gameplay, right? That's
true.
So I think that's just kind of like a natural downside of SIF and their gacha system in general. Like when it first came out in SIF 1, there was very few other gacha games out there. So, people didn't really compare it as much to other games, or there was less to compare it to, right?
Yeah.
But I think now, like, when people really want to spend their money, if they want to spend like $100 on Genshin Impact or $100 on Civ 2, like the choice is just obvious. Like, of course you're going to spend it on Genshin Impact instead.
Yeah, I feel because even if you get the like character on Civ 2, it doesn't really like affect you a lot in your gameplay. It's just a way to say, oh, I got my favorite character, and that's pretty much it. And the gameplay is still about the same, so it's not really like the best thing to really get at times.
And then you can only play it in certain songs too, right? So like if you pull the cool attribute Yohane, you're only using her in cool songs, right? You're not using her in the elegant songs or the cute songs or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's true. So to the next question, you told me you've done some writing, right? And then you said it earlier on your inspirations and stuff. So just like to ask, like, what have you been like planning on writing, or what have you been writing like these days?
So I mean, like, my majority of writing has been reviews. Like, I would call them reviews on Medium. It was kind of a review of Hasuna Sora and a bit of a review of Love Live Superstar. They're half review and half like a commentary on something that annoys me. So for Hasuna Sora, I really wanted to write about how, this isn't a call out to you, but how I would see people on Twitter who weren't giving it the time of day, right? And weren't interested in watching it. However, it was also a commentary on how people that were fans of Hasuna Sora just assume that everybody should really love to watch their like 46-hour visual novel that's you can only see on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
So that was like kind of my complaint about that. And then my complaint with the Superstar review was a little bit more general, and it was more so just kind of trying to dismiss some of the arguments that I see online about, about why Superstar, the anime, is not good, right? So it was sort of a response to what I've seen online as well, and also just a general review. So that's where most of my writing has been. In addition to that, I did have a Curious Cat where I would answer questions, which now is a dead website, so I don't use that anymore. And so, apart from that, like, I've been working. I say working, but like I haven't written anything on it for like months. I've been working on like a couple. My one like goal is a Chica fan fiction that I've been working on for like, I'd say 6 months, but it's very, very on and off. So if I do finish something, that'll be the next project. And after that, who knows? Like I said, I want to work on an Ichigasaki review as well.
Okay. That's fair enough. Planning takes a lot of time, honestly. So yeah, I get you. For fun fact, because if you're talking about the review part, usually that takes about, like, for me, half a year to at least prepare for something, because I need to think about what I want to say in the review, and sometimes I like to put in witty remarks for it. It's like my own persona in there, so it's just like, that's another part of the things that I have to go and do. And then there's the writing part, which is even worse. So it's like there's a lot of stuff to do, so it's a half a year, sorry. But for fiction itself, it can go from like half a year to can go to like 2-3 years of planning. So Soldier Game Renegade, which is the sequel for Soldier Game, and I posted that recently, that took 2 years to plan, 2.5 about there. It took very long to plan, because I didn't want it to be like the same carbon copy from the first one, so it took really long to plan and stuff. But so it really depends on the plan. You can take as long as you want to plan, as long as you feel satisfied with the quality that you put out. I think it's still pretty good. So about the writing, about the reading and writing stuff, like, have you read any fan fiction recently, and who is your favorite writer?
So there's this underground indie writer that I discovered recently. His name is Hexagon Cube, and I've read. So this is like generally like a little bit of backstory. I never really read a lot of fan fiction until recently, like maybe the last year. And most of the fan fiction that I read is not particularly family-friendly stuff that we don't discuss in this podcast. So I don't actually read a lot of safe-for-work fiction. To be completely honest with you, Soldier Game is like the first safe-for-work fan fiction I'm trying to read from like beginning to end.
Oh, that's fair.
So, yes, I'm not joking when I say currently you are my favorite safe-for-work fan fiction writer.
Damn.
One complaint though, I will say, I did read in chapter 2, you called Kanan's hair navy blue, which is wrong. It is actually purple.
Oh shit, it was.
No, I'm joking. I'm just doing a Love Live Twitter thing where we, argue over what the color of a character's hair is.
That's crazy. No, because if you were to really tell me that, I would have changed it, because I'm really unsure of it. But that's what I took from the wiki. So I was like, okay, it's purple, really?
I think the wiki does say that it's dark blue.
But I decided to call it navy.
Man.
Yeah, I called it navy blue because
you look at Kanan Matsura on Google right now, and you tell me that's not purple. It's crazy.
Oh, that's crazy, man. Honestly, that's fucking crazy. But yeah, I'm honored. I'm really honored to hear that. I do hope you enjoy the rest of Soju Game if you were to ever read it.
Yeah, and then I'll write a review on it.
Oh, that would be appreciated. That would be appreciated.
For sure.
Yeah. So the next one is what would be your proudest life achievement thus far?
I mean, there's a lot of like cringe ones that I could do about like my IRL life, like in basic life, but I wouldn't say it's like necessarily relevant to this podcast. So I guess I would say also that like I'm proud of like cool travel that I've been able to go on. I mean, obviously, like I said earlier, been to Japan twice with a bunch of friends, which was a big accomplishment for myself.
Yeah.
When I was a kid in high school, I went to Europe for like a school trip that I worked like endlessly to pay for. I'm proud of that. But I would say like one thing that I would say that's relevant to this podcast that I'm proud of is in my local area, run a bunch of panels at like anime conventions.
Yeah.
And I would say like I'm particularly proud on how in a matter of like a couple of years, I went from like doing one panel that maybe had like 30 or 40 people attend to doing like 3 or 4 panels and having like each panel be attended by like 100, 150 people and speaking in front of like that many people, which is kind of crazy, especially to like do in public, I guess. So yeah, I mean, that's like one of the like more anime relevant things that I'm really proud of. I like doing that. Hopefully I get to do more in the future. I haven't done a Love Live one yet, but hopefully one day.
So as in, I'm just curious about what panels are you like, what is the panels about? Like, let's say, what were you even speaking about for that?
Usually, so one that I do, I don't know if like people are listening to this podcast that might live where I live, so I don't want to dox myself too hard.
Yeah.
But basically, it would be discussing like a series that I really, really like, right? Or I would be discussing maybe like a topic in anime that I'm interested in, like animation, like a Sakuga animation or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, like, you've been to an anime convention before, I'm assuming, or?
Yes, I did. Anime Festival Asia.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So yeah, basically like what would happen is I would be teamed up, or I would make a team of like 2 or 3 other members. We would have a topic that we wanted to discuss together. We would come up with a bit of a format, and then we kind of just make an essay that we can present in front of an audience, right?
Ooh, yeah.
That might have like a visual aspect to it or something like that. So it would be kind of just like if I took my Hasuna Sora review and I just read it in front of a group of like 200 people or whatever, right? Except I kind of have to make it a little bit more interesting, because if I just read off like a review like that, it might be a little bit boring. But yeah, it's stuff like that.
Wow. So this is where you get your skills of like talking in a podcast from.
Yeah, it's definitely part of that, I guess. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's crazy. I would be interested to do a panel if I could, but so it all depends on the opportunity and chances to try to do it. So I would see whether the chances come up, and I would be able to do something about it. Yeah. So the next question is a very question, because I like to hear people's opinions on this. It's like, what is your favorite genre of music, and what is your album of all time?
So again, like I said, it's gonna be hard to pick one. It's impossible.
Mostly
when I was when I was a little kid, I would listen to a lot of like what my parents would listen to, which was a lot of like 70s and 80s rock. I didn't really get that much into it. Like in high school, I started listening to more hip hop and electronic music, right? And then I don't know, maybe like in university and stuff is when I started listening more to Japanese music, whether that's J-pop or Japanese rappers, stuff like that, right? So if you force me to pick 3 albums, because I will pick 3, I can't pick one. I'll pick 808s and Heartbreaks by Kanye West.
Okay.
I will pick an artist I mentioned earlier, Nujabes. He has an album called Metaphorical Music. And my meme rapper that I got into in high school is a guy called Young Lean.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah, okay, based. Me and my Kaide Max are are big Love Live and fucking Young Lean and Blade fans. So I had to put that out there for my boy. And then so those would be my 3 albums: 808s, Metaphorical Music, and Stranger. I've got like hundreds and hundreds of albums that I would like call my very, very favorites, but those would be the 3 that I'd have to pick.
So your favorite genre is just like hip hop, or is it just like the EDM kind of thing?
It's one of them. Yeah, I don't know. Like it really ebbs and flows. Like there's times where I'll only listen to hip hop, and then I'll go through a phase where I just really want to listen to like EDM or jungle music or drum and bass and stuff like that. And right now I feel like for the last like 6 or 7 months I've been in like a huge weeb phase where all I want to do is listen to anime music and J-pop and Vocaloid and stuff like that.
That's true.
So that's my current phase, but it like I said, it changes with time.
Yeah, mine is also kind of like a fluctuating kind of thing. Like I don't have a favorite genre too. It's just like different stuff, different times, different stuff. It's just like sometimes I want to listen to like pop, sometimes I want to listen to like hip hop, and sometimes I want to listen to J-pop. It's the kind of like but it's those 3 are like my favorite genres kind of stuff. So it's like very hard. I understand when you say it's very hard to like pick stuff out of the thing. Yeah. So in addition to this question, I would like you to like name any other song recommendation that you might want to introduce to me and those who are listening to this podcast.
Okay. I'm picking a lot of like pretty underground ones. So
sure.
But there's one Japanese artist. His name is Hakushi Hasegawa, and they're kind of pop, but they're also like electronic. It's hard to explain, but they make really cool music. The song recommendation I would give is it's a cover of another old Japanese song from the 80s, and it's called Q. So it's Hakushi Hasegawa's song Q. I think that's a banger, and all of his music is really good. Another one that I would recommend is by a Japanese rapper called Lil Soft Tennis. And that's called he has a whole album called I Have a Wing, and the title track from that song or from that album would be my pick there. I don't know, I'm really into like Japanese rap, so there's like a lot of options I would have for that, but he's currently like probably my favorite. Another one is a electronic Japanese group called Pasocom Music Club. This one I'm going to shamelessly shout out the fact that they did a remix of my Oshi Kobayashi Aika's music. So on her latest album, there's a Pasocom Music Club remix. So the song is called Gumichu, Pasocom Music Club remix on Kobayashi Aika's new album Illumination Collection in stores now. And then the last one is I'll do a non-Japanese group. It's an American hip-hop / electronic group called Snow Strippers. And it's a song called Under Your Spell, which is also a banger. I saw them in concert maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I wanted to do like more music content on Twitter and like post song recommendations and stuff, but people in the Love Live fandom don't really listen to a lot of diverse music. It's mostly just Love Live music, so it's a little hard to post stuff like that.
That's true. Yeah. It's fine. Oh, it's good. Okay, so the next one is, of course everyone has their fair share of merchandise. Everybody has bought merchandise before for sure, right? So what are the favorite merch? What are some of the favorite merch you own, and what would be the most expensive one that you have, or the most valuable one in this case?
Yeah. I don't really have anything that's like, I would say like super expensive. So my 2 most expensive figures that I have are of course of my 2 best girls. So I've got a Yoshiko 1/7 scale Altair figure, which is the one from SIF 1, and that one is all of the Love Live Altair figures are really, really good, but I was a huge fan of the Yoshiko one. I was going to pay resale for it when I was in Japan last year, actually. I saw it for, I think it was around $300, which at the time was a good price, and I almost bought it there on the spot. And then I think the very next day they announced that they were doing a re-release of it. And I saved myself like $70 by waiting, because I think that figure is about like $220, $230 now.
Wow.
So that's my best or my favorite Yoshiko one, and I've also got a Ayanami Rei one, Evangelion does this. They have like a fashion brand called
Yeah.
Ava Radio.
Okay.
And they do these collabs with other brands. So if you know the brand Fila,
No.
so they have like one figure where it's Rey, and she's got like a really cool like trench coat and these like Fila sneakers on and stuff like that.
Oh.
And I think that one wasn't as expensive. I think that one was like $180 or something like that. But yeah, those are my two favorite like figures. I've also, like I said, I've got like a lot of vinyl, so I don't have any Love Live unfortunately yet. Hopefully one day. I've got pretty much, so for Evangelion there's been maybe 7 or 8 vinyl releases of their music, whether it's like from the movies or from the original TV show.
Yeah.
I'm proud to say that I have all of them except for the very first one that was released in the 90s, because that one cost like $500 to get.
Oh, that's fair. That's a lot expensive shit.
Yeah. And yeah, other than that, I've got all of Kobayashi Aika's albums in special edition,
Damn.
which I'm proud of.
Yeah, I think that
I
should be proud of. Yeah.
I made like a pact with myself. I think when I first started getting into her music,
Yeah.
I think I bought like her first 2 albums in special edition, and I was like, well, now I just have to buy all of them. So I think I'm gonna be buying her albums until I die, or until she stops making music.
Okay.
So
fair.
we'll see how that goes.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then, yeah, other than that, when I went to Japan last time, I did get to visit Numazu, which was really cool. So I picked up a lot of exclusive posters and buttons and other random small merch while I was there.
Damn. So you have place to put all of this in your room.
Yeah, well, I've got thankfully I'm an adult, so I got an apartment. I've got a whole fucking unit to put my stuff in, thankfully. So, yeah, if you walk into my apartment, it's like a Love Live fan zone, pretty much.
There's some good dedication though, I'm not gonna lie. So
Yeah.
since you're talking about Aika, right? Because I also know this one Aikian fan also. Yeah, I'm sure you know him
Yeah.
too. So I would like to ask, who is the
Right.
bigger fan, you or Kyo?
Kyo is the bigger fan. Kyo is as obsessive as it can get. But I respect the hustle, and that's why I first followed him in the first place. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna argue over it. He's definitely the bigger fan, but it's not a contest, you know.
Yeah, it's not a
Sometimes it's all
contest,
about how deep your love goes, right?
Yeah, correct,
He tweets
correct.
about her every day, but at the end of the day, you never really know until you really see into somebody's heart.
Correct. Yeah, sure.
I'll selfishly say that I've got a shot. Don't count me out.
All right. So for addition to this question, I would like to ask you, what is one merch you regret buying?
So I don't really regret a lot of merch, but the one thing that I will say, so when I went to Numazu, for people that don't know, the one thing that like is central to the Aquars experience when you go to Numazu is you have to buy nopopan, right?
Yeah.
It's like a stuffed bread confectionery that you can get from a bakery, right? Hanamaru is a big fan of it in the anime.
Correct.
And I went to a place that sold it, and I bought 2. I bought one of each because they had 2 flavors or whatever.
Yeah.
So I bought 2 different flavors. When you go to like a supermarket in Canada, right?
Yeah.
And you buy bread, that bread will last like 2 to 3 weeks,
Correct.
right? So I bought 2 of those. I ate one of them with my friend.
Yeah.
And I kept the other one in my suitcase to take home. I like kind of put it somewhere where it would stay safe.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it had an expiry date of like 3 days. So I took it out at when I got home, and it was completely moldy. It was disgusting to look at, and I pretty much had to immediately throw it out, which was a shame. If I just looked at the expiry date, I would have just had it right away. But
No, but I think fresh breads have a lot of like very close expiry dates, which is very good because it tells you that the bread is pretty fresh. The pun is pretty
Yes.
fresh, right? So
yeah.
so I would
I guess when you look at like a packaged sweet, especially in America, it's true for Canada too.
Yeah.
But there's so much like preservatives and stuff that we put in our food that you just expect it to last forever.
I agree.
And so when I looked at that and I saw it was like a piece of bread in plastic, I'm like, that's gonna last, no problem. But yeah, obviously I was wrong.
But you bought it from a confectionery, right?
Yeah, well, it was actually like such a strange experience. So you can get it from a bakery, but the one that was easiest for us to go to was like a dagashi, right? Like a candy store. And it was this little old lady that was probably like in her 70s. She was taking care of her granddaughter, and it was like walking into her house, because we walked in, it was like a foyer, and she just had a bunch of tables with candy on it, right? And she came out from the back of like her house, basically came to the front, and there was this white guy and this brown guy trying to buy Love Live bread from her.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very, very strange store. It wasn't like a bakery or anything. It was, I think, just like a person's house that they were using to sell candy and stuff like that.
Oh. Yeah, because usually when I buy, like I went to Japan before, so like if I go to a confectionery to buy, or let's say it's basically any bakery, I would like, even though the bread is in the plastic, I would eat it as like recent as possible, because because bakery or confectionaries, they usually like bake bread at a very, like, they are very fresh out of the oven, so it's like, I wouldn't really take the chance to like save it for a few days before I eat it. Like if I buy it, I'll eat it on the spot. That's pretty much something like it is, or I'll eat it the next morning, something like that.
Yeah. I'm just like, I wouldn't call myself a hoarder, but like I do like to save mementos like that. So for instance, there's a piece of, in these vending machines, you could get Aqua's themed green tea, right?
Yeah,
in like these cans. So I think I bought 2 of them. I bought more than 2 because I had quite a few while I was there. But I took one of them home, and I kept that in my house, or in my apartment, for like the last year and a half, and I just drank it like a week ago because I noticed the expiry date was like October 12th or something like that. So I was like, tea isn't really going to go like really bad, but I'm like, yeah, I should probably drink this now. But I did keep the cup, the bottle, because I think it looks cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. No, it's fine. It's all good. I also do that sometimes, It's just when it's a special collaboration kind of thing, I'll just keep it, It's for the safe memory, right? So, my last question for you is, what goal do you set to accomplish in the next few years?
I mean, as far as my I don't know, like as far as like my Twitter career, I just want to become super famous and sell out, and I want to get Twitter blue, and I want to make $1,000 a tweet.
That's crazy.
But beyond that, no, I mean, I would like to finish writing my first complete fan fiction, which would be cool. That's more on the writing side. Obviously, the Nijigasaki review will happen soon. After that, I will probably have to review SIP, because that just makes sense. It's the only one left. And yeah, I mean, apart from that, I've got more like personal life goals, but there's no sense talking about that. I just really want to focus on finishing that one fan fiction, and then Nijigasaki review after that.
Wow. Yeah. I really wish you a lot of luck in finishing it,
Yeah.
Yes, a fanfic can be really hard to like complete it out. So if you really complete it out, then it's really kudos to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like if you need any like fanfic tips or anything, you just shoot me a DM or something. I can help you with that.
Yeah. Of course. Thank you, senpai.
All right. Wow. So it's been really long podcast. Shit, it's almost like 2 hours. God damn. It's crazy.
Right on the mark. Let's go.
Yeah. It's not really right on the mark though. I'm not gonna lie. It's like 1:58 there. Yeah. About there. But you know what? We can just like end it here. So like really thank you again for like coming down for the podcast. It's I really appreciate it. For like supporting this podcast too. It's really,
thank you for having me. I was excited to join. I don't know. I mean, I like doing podcasts and stuff like this. So, if you have me back at some point, I think that would be cool. But yeah, no, thank you for having me.
Yeah. I really didn't expect a conversation to go like really this long, because usually when I did like the past few podcasts, it was like really really short. I did one last when the first time I started this, and then it was with Moss, if you know who the guy is. We did a really scuffy 30-minute interview, and that was really shitty. I'm not gonna lie to you, he really sucks at talking. So it's really it's really like nice to have such a conversation like this, just sit down and we talk a bit more general stuff. It's really more nicer to have a long conversation than a short one that is like what are we even doing in the first place. It's like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you know what? Yeah, thank you for being a really like good guest today. It's really appreciated.
Anytime. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. So yeah, this is the end of the podcast. Thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next time. Yeah. So yeah, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.